Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Influencer Secrets. And on today's episode, I'm talking about how I lost 100 pounds before becoming Brunch Boys. Okay, so before we begin, I'm gonna give you that friendly reminder to make sure you're subscribed and following me. Make sure you like the video, make sure you comment below and tell me what you think, and share the video and tell all your friends, and just like make sure everyone knows we're Brunch Boys, to follow them on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and like, I don't know, everywhere. And do you like the hat? I've actually been getting a lot of questions about the hats that I wear, because if you pay attention, it seems like I wear a different hat in almost every episode. So it's like, well, how many hats do you have? I kind of have like over 100 something hats. I've actually been collecting them since I was like in second grade, and the nice thing is about your head size is it doesn't really change. So I've been able to just collect baseball hats. So a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, Tigers, like, oh, you're a Tigers fan. I'm like, no, I'm definitely a Yankees fan. I have like 20 Yankees hats, but I just collect the hats from everywhere I go and everywhere I think the hats are cool. But okay, so enough about hats. Let's talk about how I lost 100 pounds. This is something I've like sort of talked about before, but never really gotten into full detail. And I think like it's just funny. People always ask me like, how do I keep the weight off now without ever realizing how much I actually weighed before? And just to show you what I looked like, this was me like 7 or 8 years ago. I actually don't remember exactly when this picture was taken. And I also don't really remember exactly what my highest weight was. Just from my brain, I want to say it was up like 290. I remember it was almost like, yeah, I was getting up to 300. And sort of what happened was, and to preface all this is before I worked in food. So as you guys know, I've been running Brunch Boys for like 4.5 years. But I worked in food TV before that. So I've been in like the food world for about 7 years. And before this, I was in the sports world, sports TV world specifically. And I would say that like pretty much all my life I've been overweight. I don't really remember a time when I wasn't, but it definitely seemed to balloon after college, or at least after high school and sort of going through college. And it's a mix of everything. I think that like lifestyle, I don't think I knew how to properly take care of myself. Diet was probably not so great, and just the motivation wasn't really there. I think it's just like one of those things where when you know your weight is an issue, you sort of just like, as many times as people can tell you to lose weight, and that you should, especially when you go to a doctor and family, and as nicely as they put it, it's sort of that thing, it's like you want to push back of like, no, like, no, like I'm fine. And I don't know, I think what happened was, in terms of like when I decided to try and lose weight, it was a combination of a lot of things. I think that like I was unhappy in a lot of what was going on in my life, and sort of personal life, professional life. I was at this point 24 maybe, and like still had never really had a full-time job out of college, and I just felt that like I just needed a change. I needed to change something that I could truly control. And I thought like, okay, like weight is something I can control. I can take a hold of this. And it's something I decided to sort of do with my mom, us together, who like, I was much heavier than she was, but it's just always like just an overall health thing I think that she wanted to deal with and sort of like help motivate me. And so the process of how I lost all the weight was I did go to a dietitian, and I was put on a very strict diet of pretty much these bars and these shakes, and then the most simple foods ever. So pretty much my diet consisted of like, I don't even remember exactly what it was, but it was like three like these health bars a day, 3 of these shakes a day, and then just like a chopped salad a night. And when I'm saying like in that salad, like it's not like a fucking sweet green salad with all this stuff in it. It was like lettuce, tomato, peppers, and like nothing else. And little by little, I added a little more. So then it was like, okay, some proteins, put some like chicken in there. Okay, a little diced up pieces of chicken. Okay, maybe like some nuts, some extra protein that's in there too. Or like a little bit of vinegar, like just sort of amp it up a little bit. It sort of had like start the most extreme and then sort of wean my way back. And then on top of that, I was working out. At the time, I was working part-time at the WWE, and I was done at work at about 3 p.m. every day. And from 3 p.m. into the night, I would go to the gym. I would go to the gym for like at least 2 hours every single day. And it would be like an hour of cardio and then an hour of weights. And obviously that's not something that everyone has the benefit of doing. I realize that. But I was obviously in a position where I can't do that. And I would tell you exactly what these bars are, the health drinks were, or whatever. I honestly don't remember. And I also think it's one of these things where it's like, I'm giving you tips, but I don't think this is a diet you should just be like, oh, well, I want to lose weight. I will do exactly what Jeremy did. Because I think what I've learned in my life is that everyone's body reacts differently to different types of diets. And I think that's why it's so important to sort of do it with a dietitian, do it with someone that's actually trained to help you to know your body and what you need and see what works for you. I think just like reading magazines and seeing what someone else does and someone tell you this works and that works and blah, 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 blah. I think like it's never gonna work that way. I think you need to find what diet works for you on every level. And that's why like I definitely suggest doing that and starting there and having them, I would check in pretty much like once a week. Okay, like what's your weight at? What are your blood pressure at? Like how's your body reacting to this diet? Because it's not easy. I mean, I pretty much cut out 2/3 of the caloric intake I was taking every day, and that obviously helps you lose weight at the end of the day. And I think what's interesting, so basically what happened was after about 6 months, 7 months, I lost about 80 pounds, which is a tremendous amount of weight to lose in such a short time. I understand that. And during that time, I had left sports TV, I left WWE, and I started and I went to go work in food TV. And it was a scary mental transition to go from no food at all, pretty much, to now being around food every single day. And it was terrifying. The first time I started like eating real foods again, you're terrified. You're terrified of like what's gonna happen. Are you gonna go back to that weight? Are you gonna balloon again? Because that's one of the hardest things about these diets is you lose all the weight and then a lot of people put it right back on. And at the same time, you don't want to be scared of food because like I love food and I think food should be enjoyable. And if I was terrified to taste anything, like what kind of life is that? So it was a hard transition, and I had to slowly allow myself to eat food again and slowly be like, okay, I can eat this cheeseburger. It means I'm gonna work out harder the next day to balance it out, but I'm not gonna deny myself something that I really want. And it sort of worked. I ended up losing more weight. So then the next like 2 years, I lost another 20 pounds and I put back on a little bit of it. Since then, I'll say like right now, I'm probably around 205, and it's definitely something like I struggle with every single day, which is why it is still funny that like people ask me all the time, like, oh, how do you stay so skinny? And to me, it's just like, I still don't think I'm skinny. I think like when you go 23, I'm 31, even when you go 23 years of feeling like you're fat, you don't necessarily just wake up the next day and feel any differently, even when you've lost the weight. So it's such like a funny thing. People ask me, and I'm like, work out, eat healthy, whatever. Without truly like getting into the whole story. It's just something like I don't really want to talk about all the time. It's not it's not fun to talk about it. I realize like it's important to discuss these things. I think like people are just interested in it and people want to know. But it's not my favorite topic or conversation. I don't know, I think mostly too, like I remember how I was treated then. And you're certainly treated differently when you're pretty much nearly obese and when you're at now. And I don't know if I want people to treat me that way again. If they think I was like that, they would treat me like that way again. So it's a topic I try to avoid. Except for here, obviously. Except for all you. But I think like it's just like it's an important message. And I will say what's sort of nice about how I transitioned from sports into food was truly, I've always have been passionate about food. I cooked when I was little. I watched Food Network when I was little. But when I was going through those 6 or 7 months where I wasn't really eating any food, the enjoyment I got out of food was watching the Food Network, was watching all these food travel shows, was watching Bobby Flay cook food. Like I would watch and sort of satiate myself on those things. And I think that like, then when I ended up in food TV, it wasn't a thought of like, wow, it's done such a good job for me, maybe I'll go work in it. it was, I sort of ended up on a food show, and I was like, holy shit, like, this means so much more to me now than it ever would have to be a part of this. And I think that's what's been so special, and that's what sort of continues to be special doing Brunch Boys. And you know, I realized that I post a lot of gluttonous things. I don't really post every meal I have, because I always joke that like predominantly my meals are boring, because I do try and maintain my health, but I do try and share some more stuff on stories about my sort of normal meals between all the giant brunches here and there. And it's still, you know, it's hard, and you have your good days and you have your bad days. And I understand if you're trying to lose weight, it's more of a mental struggle than anything else. But I will say that like you can totally do it. Like, there's no reason I'm a better person than anyone else to have been able to lose 100 pounds. Like, I worked at it, and I found what worked for me. And it, like I said, it was a struggle then, and it's certainly a struggle now. But I think it's just like an important story for everyone. So there you go. So that is how I lost 100 pounds before becoming Brunch Boys. Okay, so if you liked this video, or even if you didn't like the video, click like video, because that helps. Let me know what you think below, like what kind of diet stuff has worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, what other kind of things you want me to teach you. Share the video, you know, do all those things. And I'll see you next time. Bye.